Now, welcome to another edition of News from Naboo with Thor's Lightning Takes. And let's get right to the news.
Peer pressure.
Is this a after-school special?
No. Showrunner Tony Gilroy has ceased producing services on Andor because of peer pressure. Yeah. I mean, he was singled out on social media for performing non-writing duties.
Well then, what's the problem?
He's a writer, and he's part of the WGA's strike, which, okay, I understand that. But he has come out and said he was done writing. He was done.
So what's the
But
problem?
he's also been hired on. He is a producer of the show, which means he is expected to do that job. He's expected to be a producer.
Yes.
Yes. Which sometimes, tweaks where the music cues come in, might actually come in and say, hey, let's switch this line around. And he was going to continue to perform these duties for Andor.
Because it's a producer role and not a writer.
Yes. But now he has told the Hollywood Reporter he is no longer performing any non-writing duties for Andor. He said that. In that statement, he responded to the criticism he received from fellow Writers Guild members for performing such services during the WGA strike against the Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers, which represents studios and streamers.
But why? He's not writing.
I know. He reported that season 2 scripts were done and completed. And he was still going to be doing his producing services because that includes things like we said, like casting, music-related duties. Things that a producer does. And now he says he was not present on the show's set and hasn't been since the strike began on May 2nd. He said, I'll discontinue all writing and writing-related work on Andor prior to midnight May 1st. After being briefed on the Saturday show-running meeting, I informed Chris Kaiser at the WGA on Sunday morning that I would also be ceasing all non-writing producing functions. When reached by phone late Tuesday, Kaiser, the co-chair of the WGA's negotiating committee, confirmed his conversation with Gilroy. Lucasfilm, which produces Andor, declined to make a comment. Then we have writer Abdul Saeed. He's done some work for Hulu. He singled out Gilroy in a post on his Instagram account on May 8th. He said, this is scabbing. There's no way a writer/producer can finish writing and begin solely producing. If the scripts are truly finished, let's see them. If there's one word different in the finished product, kick Tony Gilroy out of the WGA. One of the biggest writers in Hollywood could stand with his union and halt production on his hit show, thereby forcing a major studio to consider WGA demands a little harder. Instead, he's chosen to be a scab. We all want Andor Season 2, but not at the cost of fairness to writers.
But it's done writing.
Even saying, hey, give us the scripts then and we'll see if anything's different. He's not the only producer. Diego Luna is also a producer on the show, and he could switch out some lines, cut a line here, add a new line if he so chooses. So they've put him in a position that, if he doesn't make these writing changes, but Diego Luna says, let's, flop this around or let's change this, they're going to kick Tony Gilroy out of the Writers Guild.
Feels like they need him more than he needs them, but hey.
Yeah, there are pros and there are cons to being in these guilds, being in unions. We're not here to debate that.
No,
I
we're
just
not getting to that discussion.
don't like that somebody called him out. I feel like, I think, is it just because I like his work or I've seen how he presents himself, how he speaks, Tony Gilroy. I feel like he's a man of integrity. If he says he's not going to be doing that, I believe him.
Well, yeah, I feel like it is probably to some degree the fact that we want to see Andor Season 2, right?
Well, and the fact that he
Sooner
also
rather than later.
informed the WGA on his own about what was happening, about the situation, and seems to have gotten the green light on this from one of the committee chair members.
And what's the problem here?
To have another writer sit there and call him out doesn't seem right.
No, I agree. I think that's kind of a dick move.
I know Disney also pulled some dick moves, we should call them. Disney did send letters to showrunners demanding they continue their contractually obligated non-writing services amid the strike. But they said non-writing. And I feel like that's almost fair that they should be able to say, hey, I know you're on strike for this, but you also said you were doing this, so still do that.
I guess so, yeah. It's so weird because you have these different
Right, because this is a newer thing that the writers are also the producers. It's like saying I'm a singer and a songwriter. I'm on writer strike, so I can't write any more songs, but I can still go sing my songs, right? And they're like, no, you can't. But the WGA called this like union busting tactics, but at the same time, I mean, you're contractually obligated to do both.
Yeah, if you're not working as a writer, then you're not obligated to follow the writer's code in a manner of speaking, right?
Right, you're like, yes, I am not currently writing because I'm on strike. I'm not writing, but like, oh, I'm also a set director. Can I still direct? And WGA says no, but Disney says we hired you to do that too. It's a rock and a hard place for the writers, for the studios. I'm hoping this gets resolved quickly. I just don't know if it will.
Yeah, I don't really know much of the details, to be completely honest.
I mean, this is a true challenge when you have... I think a lot of writers have been moving into that, writing and producing, or writing and directing. So what are they supposed to do? It's like this never-ending series of ethical dilemmas that can't be resolved. Let's move into a different colorful discussion.
Yes, let's move on.
What happened to attachments within the Jedi? Star Wars just did something really weird. In Star Wars The High Republic Adventures number 5, there is a Jedi that's kind of questioning the Jedi's lightsaber as an attachment.
This weapon is your life.
Exactly. You bond with this crystal. The crystal calls to you. You have an attachment to it. It's part of you.
Anakin didn't really have an attachment to his lightsabers.
I kept losing them. Apparently within the issue, they're saying how a lightsaber could almost betray them in a sense. Crazy stuff like that.
I haven't read this yet, so...
Yeah, there's been a story following Sav Maligan, a Jedi Padawan who's torn between her life in the Jedi Order
and her lightsaber?
And her life among pirates with Maz Kanata. Yeah.
So she's already got attachment issues.
As a result, she's kind of been undercover and struggling to figure out who she will really ultimately be. She's trying to save the Republic while being allied with Maz. In these teachings, she's like learning this conflict with reality. That she doesn't know now if Jedi lightsabers are attachments.
Apparently the writer's strike didn't go on strike early enough. I should say the Writers Guild.
Oh.
I'm kind of kidding, but I mean, again, I haven't read this, so it just sounds kind of wonky right now.
Well, I know that when she created her lightsaber, they said the fact that she was able to construct it really quickly made her teacher upset.
Where's Huiyang? What was he up to?
I don't know. He
the weekend off.
He didn't feel like dealing with this issue.
I don't blame him. He probably heard about this.
Out.
Yeah, no, I'm done.
Well, because it's a sacred, implement to them, and she constructed it really fast, and the teacher's like, "Oh, you're done already? Like, this is supposed to be like this holy experience, this rite, bonding and building your first saber." And she's like, "Put the crystal in the hole, right? Done." And so then the character Sav ultimately questioned. She goes, "What happened to no attachments?" When her master expresses the importance of the lightsaber, that it's an extension of self, worthy of utmost respect and care. And the Kyber crystal, they're alive in a sense, suggesting, apparently within the comic, that your lightsaber could be an attachment. What do you think, oh great Jedi lore Thor Skywalker?
That's like saying... Okay, Jedi do need some things, right? Just because you possess and care about something does not necessarily make it an attachment. There is a difference between the two. Attachment kind of implies obsession. I don't know that too many people get obsessed over their lightsabers.
Not when too many people spend too much time polishing their lightsabers?
Well, but you know what I mean? Like, I get where they're trying to kind of go with this, but
yeah,
it's a weapon of last resort. It's a tool. It is the one thing, not the one thing. I mean, they allow themselves clothing. Like, they could have their favorite robes. Is that an attachment too? It's not like the Jedi can't possess anything in terms of, like, owning something.
I just find it such an odd thing for them to bring up in their comics. Like, you know what we're going to do today, guys? Let's start questioning if your lightsaber is an attachment and if we should get rid of them. What? What are you doing?
Yes, this weapon is your life. Like, you treat it as a partner in a manner of speaking. If you want to think of it as
Jedi failed.
I mean, if you want to think of it as a living thing, sure. Then it is something that is helping you on its journey. You are helping it complete its purpose as well. That's a way to look at it, right? A kyber crystal just sitting in a mountain or a hole in the ground is pretty irrelevant. It's pretty meaningless. It doesn't serve any purpose. A Jedi gives it that purpose. It's It's a mutual relationship, you could say. Symbiotic, Lucas might say. Oh, boy.
There you go with the Lucas quote.
Well,
I just thought this was kind of a strange thing, and I should bring it to your attention.
No, it is. Like I said, I'll end up reading this sooner rather than later, and I'll probably... maybe we'll dig into it again. But no, your lightsaber's not an attachment. Not every... You can have friends. You can have things within reason as a Jedi.
What if they had a cat?
Well, they have a dog. I can't remember his name now. He has this dog in the High Republic. His Charhound.
Is his Charhound an attachment?
No, but they do. I think they do delve into that in one of the books a little bit about why he is allowed to have it. And I can't remember it.
Oh, I can't remember.
Yeah. I think maybe it's one of those.
It's a sad day for the lore.
It is kind of a sad day for the lore, but no, I don't remember the whole Charhound and why he's allowed to have it thing.
Why he can have an attachment?
He is attached. I mean, he is pretty much attached to his master. Was also the one who
got it for him.
No, who gets kind of captured and he thinks he's dead, and then he's not dead, and then he dies anyway. Big spoilers.
Wow. Death, not death, Charhounds, we know it all now.
Yeah, I gave you his whole I can't believe I can't remember his name. He's actually one of the few characters that I really kind of enjoyed too.
Wow, you enjoyed?
Yeah, so there's some good in the High Republic. There's a lot of...
I haven't read enough of it to find...
A lot of mediocre and a lot of not so good as well, but no, he's one of the better characters, I'd say. Loden Greatstorm, that's his master's name. There's so many. See, the problem is there's just so many characters.
There's too many all at once.
I just can't remember the names. Like when I read them, I remember who they are most of the time.
This is one of the things we were talking about the other day when you're like, oh, well, when they did the trilogies, all three of them, they stuck with a small cast of main characters saying, here's like 3 main people. Follow them. The High Republic's like every issue of the comic, every single book is like, here's 20 main characters. Yeah, remember them.
Yeah, they tried so hard to make the time period like feel big and full that they just made too many characters. They should have had just a couple that they kind of focused on.
That's what they did right with the Path of the Open Hand book. By the end of it, they pretty much killed everyone they introduced me to except for like 3 people.
Yeah, all the Path of the Open Hand.
They gave me all these names and I worked hard on trying to know who everybody was, and then by the end, everyone was dead but 3 of them.
So there you go.
Which I won't spoil which 3.
Well, I'm sure nobody's really probably on the edge of their seat waiting to read that.
Well, only 3 made it out.
Yeah, spoiler alert for that too.
Well, I didn't say which 3 though. Bum bum bum.
But no, your lightsaber is not an attachment unless you develop an obsession with it.
I know some men are obsessed with their lightsabers.
That's all we got for you this time. Now it's your turn to take to the comments below and tell us what you think of any and all of today's news, and let's talk some Star Wars. And until next time, thanks for watching.